Hey YouTube, Zippo enthusiast down under here, and I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on my cheapest brass lighter tutorial. It has been 13 days since I removed the finish from this, and mentioning that it has no protective clear coating on it other than the paint. So once that's gone, it's susceptible to tarnishing. I just wanted to show you sort of where it's at, and you can see it's very patchy. It doesn't really do it justice on camera as to what it looks like, but I also did polish this to try and remove some scratches that I put in it in using a sort of a bad technique to try and remove this paint. I have found a better technique while I was doing it, which is to remove it from the bottom. So starting around here this time with the toothpick, I'm just going to lift all the edges of that and I'll be able to peel it all away. I also am going to let it soak for more time. I'm probably going to leave it for 24 hours, whereas this one I had left it for only 12 and it still was a little difficult to remove. So you can see that it's very patchy, the tarnish that started to happen on it, and also that this finish here was removed from the polish that I did on the front and the back from the scratches that I created. So I'm having another go at it. I just wanted to let you know, like, this is what will happen. I haven't handled this for the almost 2 weeks that I've had it, the 13 days, and it has got quite a bit of tarnish on it. And my goal was to create one of these canned bottom brass lighters to have in my collection. That's sort of more like the original brass lighters that Zippo came out with. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to polish it up completely. I'm going to remove all of this tumbled finish from it, and I'm going to be putting a clear coating on it. What I am going to be using to polish it is just some Brasso. Now this is slightly abrasive, this stuff, and that is why it had removed that tumbled sort of look finish. But it's going to be it's very quick to remove the finish, the scratches, stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to be using. But with this one, as soon as I strip all of the paint off of it, I'm going to be putting a clear coating on it. And I will be doing that with this too, to make sure that the clear coating is good. I want to have something that's as close to the protective coating that they come with from factory. Now, I don't know exactly what they use, and I have got a few different things I'm going to try if this doesn't work out. So I'm going to hold out on doing this. I'll probably mash this all together in one video, but I've just got an aerosol clear coat. I've got an aerosol brass lacquer, and I've also thought about getting some ceramic coating. So there are a few things that I might try out if the clear coating at the start doesn't work out. So I'll be back to finish off this video. Stay tuned. Okay guys, I'm finally back. I do want to admit my process of removing the tumbled finish from this lighter, polishing up and clear coating it, has taken me quite a bit of trial and error. Now this is the one that started out like this. I removed the painted finish using the acetone. However, I managed to scratch the tumbling that was in it using the toothpick in my attempt to get this off, being impatient. So while I am going to do this, strip this to get the tumbled finish, that will be a part of another video. So today what I'm covering is just my attempt to polish and to clear coat it. And I just want to tell you guys some of the troubles that I had. So initially, with the scratches in the front, I had used Brasso to try and remove the scratches. But what it did was it, mostly removed the entire tumbled look on the front, which I should have expected because this stuff is slightly abrasive. However, after deciding to completely polish it, the Brasso was not able to get out a lot of the little deep scratches that were left in the entire finish from the tumbling process that takes place. And what I ended up doing was using like a kind of like a soft spongy nail buffer type thing, where it's kind of like a really soft I guess, sandpaper block where it's got two different textures on it. It's got like a rough side and a smoother side. What I had done was use the rough side first, obviously, to get the majority of the material off, to get the scratches out, because that is the only way to get the scratches out. Once there's something deep in it, you need to remove material to get, you know, all of it worn down to the point of the depth of the scratch. What I had done is use this sideward motion and motion like this over the lid and over the bottom, as well as a motion like this to try and replicate what Zippo has in theirs. While this is kind of tarnished, you can see the lines that go through it. It's a little harder to tell on the sides, but there are like polish marks that run in this direction. And on the lid, it's kind of funny. It goes this way, but obviously where they polish the front, it reaches sort of in over the edges there. The bottom does go this way also. So does this side. So I tried to replicate that as best I could. Once I'd had finished sort of buffing it down using the little hand buffer, I went back to the Brasso polish to get a better finish out of it. It sort of is like in a mixture of a brushed and polished look at the moment. You know, it's not quite brushed, but it's still not quite that high polish either, as you can see. This is got my light in the background as a circle, whereas this looks more like a brushed one where it sort of lights up the whole thing. Mind you, this has got a very thick clear coat on it. So the next thing that I do want to mention is applying the clear coat for me had taken several attempts. Now, on my first attempt, first off, I'll mention applying any sort of finish over top of any metal, it's necessary to clean it. So as you can see in my little buffer, there's quite a lot of brass in this. And you can imagine that as much as it looks polished and cleaned, wiping it, whatever, there'll still be little bits of that all on the finish. So what my clear coating can actually recommends, and I'll show you, it does say to use, where does it say it? Application before spraying, mineral turpentine. So blah blah blah. Anyway, it says use mineral turpentine to clean the surface and let dry before applying. So that's what this stuff's for. Cleaning this. While you're cleaning it, make sure you've got some clean gloves on, rubber gloves or something, and don't get any fingerprints or anything on there at all, because if you do this clear coating, it will not stick. It'll just flake off, or it'll bubble, or you won't have a nice finish if it's got any contamination underneath of the clear itself. So my first attempt, I'd used light coats, waited the period of time that it recommends in between, applied more light coats. I think I did about 4 or 5 light coats because I wanted to have quite a thick layer of clear so that I could polish it up, because I found that it was leaving little specks, because it's an aerosol. It was leaving little specks, and I did sort of have it sitting just upside down like this, obviously without the insert in it, while I did this process. And I'll show you a couple of the issues I've had. But the main issue was I was getting these funny little specks, like raised rough edges in the face of the lighter. Not really anywhere else. Everywhere else was pretty good. There was a bit on the spine and a bit on this side as well, but mainly on the two large faces. And trying to use like a really low grit sandpaper, so some really fine stuff, much finer than the buffing pad that I had, to try and get that out of the clear coat, make it smooth. And then I was going to use like some car polish, because it's a clear coat, to polish out any of the sanding scratches. Now, every time I did this, I think I took like 3 attempts, I wore through the clear coat and I was back down to the brass. So I almost gave up on this, to be honest. It wasn't an easy process. What I ended up doing was going back, buffing down all of the clear coat again, repolishing the surface, cleaning it again, and then just basically clear coating the shit out of it. Like, I must have put 15 coats continuously. Like, I didn't give it periods of time to dry in between. What I had noticed with this stuff was that it went like this milky sort of cloudy color over the entire thing, and I just thought, you know, it doesn't look great, but I'll let it go, I'll let it do its thing, and I'll see what it turns out like. If it didn't work, I wasn't going to make this video. I was just going to buff it all off and brasso it and let it go, to be honest. I was going to give up, but after letting it set overnight, I feel like I've done a pretty good job with it. The flaws that I've gotten at the moment are these little bubbles, and they're not on the lid. The lid is very smooth. It's sort of inside of the clear coat, which is a bit of a bummer, but I have such a thick layer on here. I probably could do my method with my really low grit sandpaper and polish that out. Use some car polish to remove the sanding scratches. Other than that, is you can kind of see, hold on, I'll get it to show up a bit better, but there's a big sort of, there you go. It's really thick at those spots near where the bottom of the case and or the top of the body and the bottom of the lid sort of meet. So it's like, because this is how it was, I put such a thick coating on that it ran down. While it looks perfect everywhere else, it is quite thick in those spots on both sides. And it's actually pretty good over here on this side. But also because it was like this, I wish I had to use something to sort of prop it so it's on less of an angle to get the clear coat down in there better. And what you can see is, while there is clear coat there, when I had eventually sort of pulled it away, it's left that really rough finish. So once again, there is still a lot of clear coat in there. I probably still could sand that down to a smoothness and polish it again. But I've spent so much time trying to get this right so far that I was just gonna see how the clear coat goes before I bother trying to like get the finish perfect. So I've got a pretty good finish on there at the moment with some minor imperfections that could easily be corrected, but I've had enough of doing that for now. As you can see, like here's the brass, my high polish brass. It's not quite the same. I could have spent some more time polishing this to get it to this point, but I'm not too sure if it was gonna sort of look the same. You can really tell that this has got a clear coating on it, whereas this, it's got some sort of protective coating, but I still don't know what it is. I might actually put a question forward to Zippo to see if I can find out and get an answer for you guys. But I will be testing the durability of this clear coat. First off, I'm going to shelf it for like probably a month while I move over to test the hinge on a 35 replica, just to make sure that this stuff does do what it says and doesn't let it tarnish underneath. I'm not going to be stripping the paint off of this because, once again, I want to see how this clear coat goes before I bother doing it to another one. So if I was using the acetone to get the paint off this now, I'd just be letting it tarnish until I was ready to do it. So I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to show you guys that this has worked out pretty well. Those little spots there could easily be polished out, like sanded back and polished. I've got such a thick coating on it. Same with this up here. It looks very good. The only thing I wish I had done is polished up the brass itself a little bit better to be more like this, but you know, like this is still, it's tarnished and it's still quite a bit more reflective, but that's just the surface of it underneath. So that's about it for this video, guys. Once again, I will be doing a follow-up on this clear coating. Probably let it sit for a month and then I'll start using it. I want to see that the clear coat's not going to affect the brass underneath of it, and then I want to see how tough the clear coat itself is for like stuff like everyday use. Alright guys, just something I wanted to add in before I ended off the video here. Here is the clear coated brass finish. Do it yourself at home, sort of. Remove the paint and apply a clear coat to protect it. I did mention in the video that I'd had rough spots in the clear coat when I was applying it, and I'd had trouble sort of sanding them back without removing pieces of the clear coat, mainly along the edges and along the centers of between the lid and the bottom part of the body of the case. It was leaving what's known as an orange peel effect in it, where it had stayed behind anyway. And I have recently noticed, here I've just got like a gloss sort of, I guess it's it looks like a matte finish, but it's got a gloss over it, as you can tell. I don't know if it shows up in video, but it has got that sort of orange peel effect in it, where it looks like, you know, like the skin of an orange. That's what it's sort of referred to as. Yeah, it shows up quite well in that shot there. All over it. So I'm not sure if that's the paint itself or if it's got a clear coat protecting on it either, but that is the effect I was expecting to get, and it's kind of like fingerprint resistant, much like the clear coating that I've got on this. You know, any other brass lighter, if you touch it, you'd know. Brushed or high polish, especially something that's shiny like this, they leave fingerprints. But I didn't end up getting this orange peel effect in it because I didn't do anything to this. I just soaked it so much that it left a really smooth finish anyway, minus the spot in the middle where you can see, there you go. Now it's not huge, it looks much worse than what it actually feels like in the right lighting. But that's the main issues that I've got on the finish of this, not have sanded and polished it up at all. As well as, yeah, like I've mentioned earlier, the little spots in the lid and near the hinge. So I will be perfecting this when I do get around to removing the paint from the black matte finish lighter that I have to get the tumbled brass finish and to protect it. But I just wanted to show that, you know, it looks like this has got some sort of a clear coating on it, and it's like an orange peel effect. So that's what I was trying to mention anyway. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, please leave me a thumbs up. If you've got any questions on the process, any other questions, any requests for some more content, or comments in general, leave them down below. I will get back to everyone. And make sure you subscribe to catch my future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.